Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Let's Get Real with 7 Podcast. Today, I have my siblings and we're just about to start talking about what life is like to grow up with 10 siblings. There's a lot of people out there that, one, think it's like, oh, so it's way too much, and some are like, oh man, I wish I was born with a bunch of siblings. But right now, we're about to share with you guys the pros and cons of growing up with a bunch of siblings. But before we get started, I'm gonna allow all my siblings to introduce themselves. And we'll start with my big brother over there.
Hello, my name is Trubahiro Moise.
Alunga Moise.
Oh, let him talk about a little bit about himself.
We can rehearse that.
Yeah, it's okay. No, it's
really
fine.
Go ahead.
Well, my name is Trubahiro Moise. I'm married. I got 2 beautiful kids and a wife.
What's your name?
Brenda. The kids is Riley and Ryan.
Okay, go ahead. Now you.
Alunga Moise. I am not married. And that's about it.
John. Okay. My name is Museveni Moise, and these are my siblings.
My name is Mukanzi Moise, and I am married, but I don't have any kids, and my wife's name's Jenny. Yep.
Yeah, my name is John Moise. I'm married, and my wife is Deborah. I have 2 kids, Jael and Jaziel.
And one on the way.
and one pending.
One cooking the other.
We said one penny for
Okay, my name is Amy Moise. I have 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. And one of them is here. Her name is Ruth Muchuranyana. And then my boys, one of them is Luke Haruna. Second one is Joshua Muchuranyana and Deborah Muchuranyana and Jonathan. Ooh, I almost forgot. That's part of having so many kids. And then
I know a lot of people will be like, damn man, you guys like were probably never alone. But for me, being an introvert, growing up with 10 people, it almost felt like you were super alone. Even though there's so many people in the house, you just don't really want everyone to, especially when we first came to the stage, none of us wanted to be burdens to the older siblings. Like we just wanted to each individually, we kind of grew up on our own because like our mom was super busy. She had to do her own thing. But I think I want to give everyone a chance to kind of express their side and their feelings of how it felt like to grow up with so many siblings. And Zay, for you to kind of be one, Amy was around, but not that much for a long time. You were literally the only girl in the family growing up with 7 boys and kind of sharing your side. Actually, I'll let you go. I'll let you share first. How was it like growing up with 7 brothers? Like, and you're the only girl. Like, how does that feel like? What does that look like for you? And talk about it.
For me, growing up with 7 brothers, it almost felt like I was one of the boys. I got in trouble a lot for acting like one of the boys by my mom, just because I wasn't as girly as I am now. Not that I'm very girly now.
You are.
But I think, I don't know, I just felt like one of the guys. It would have been nice having sisters, just because I could actually.
Yeah, I was like,
Let's reverse that.
She was like a mother than sister.
Thank you. What did he say? No, I mean, I lived in the home 24/7. My sister worked and had moved out, and my other sister Nellie Nyangabide, who's not here, was still in Africa. So I was basically the only girl in the house. But I grew up very athletic. That's why I have all this muscle.
Okay. And when we say athletic, it's good.
Look, I made it to the next round of the teams I wanted to make. But and hey, it was very fun for me. But I don't know. I mean, I think it made me tough. I mean, like, it never, I don't know. I wouldn't say they were very protective because everybody was already scared of them. With me being the only girl and them always being around, we all went to the same school. So we were all like a year apart. So I was known as Mukanzi's sister just like all of us were known as Bakanzi's sister, all of us.
Everybody.
Yeah, whatever. But so I don't know. I just felt like I was almost like on top of the world because nobody could bully me or like, you know.
Okay, thank you, Zay, for sharing. Dre, I would like for you to share because you are the youngest. Technically, you guys are twins.
And what do you mean? No, let me pick something up to just technically. So I was born first by like 3 to 7 minutes.
3 minutes.
It's a little iffy because, like, listen, in the death camp, it was dark, so there was no time. There was no time.
That is true, actually.
So technically, we don't know. It could be an hour, but we'll play it safe and say it's 3 to 7. So, but I'm just older, and then he came after, so that's a second.
Okay, Dre. So you are the.
He's not even gonna.
Yeah, Dre.
Jesus.
So okay. So question.
She's surprised of
How funny they are.
She was so funny. Okay, hey Dre. So you're the youngest one, man. Can you please talk about the youngest boy? I know this sucks to kind of say, but you're also one very much of the athletic one in the family. So can you?
That
Oh,
Hey,
oh, shut up. Okay, my bad.
He played tennis.
My bad. Go ahead. Hey, talk about how it was like being the youngest one, man, and just your side of
Remind
it.
them you played
The
tennis.
feeling.
Okay. Yeah. So growing up was very difficult. Very difficult. I mean, it was still fun. I mean, but I guess having to say yes to everything that your brother told you to do was very tough. I mean, I guess, but other than that, we were all close together. It was fun. School was horrible.
What do you mean horrible?
Horrible? Man. Okay, it started in middle school. Because that's when we left Sun Valley. So I knew everybody that we went to middle school. Then Gillard became the famous one. And then he got to sports. Oh yeah, middle school. And then in 8th grade, that's when we tried out for basketball. This is where everything went down. And then Gillard made the basketball team. And then every morning, like Saturday.
Did you know?
Jay, did it look like? That's why I said Gillard. And then Seth and Melinda, they'll go like wake up at like 5 a.m. go work out, and I was still sleeping in my room. So it was very hard. I mean, Gilla was put into everything, since like I got in sports, and then high school was also that because everyone knew my family before they knew me. But other than that, in the household though, it was fun. But yeah, I guess being the youngest out of 10 is very hard because you have to respect everybody before you can be respected. That's it.
That's true.
Can you explain that in our culture? Because he's making it seem like
Okay, so in our culture, you basically have to respect your eldest. Anybody older than you, which is just you should just respect people in general. But in our culture, it's kind of excessive. Like you literally have to listen to everything they tell you. So if they tell you to go get a glass of water, you have to go get a glass of water. If they tell you to go cook for you, you gotta go cook.
I didn't even know that.
And so let's just say let's just say some people took advantage of that. No, B definitely took advantage of that.
That was in the middle, so that happened to me. So I was like, man, I might as well have fun with
You took extra
You took it
advantage of that situation. But so that's what he means by like, you have to give respect before you can get respect. So I get where you're coming from. That is tough, especially where in our culture where we're coming from. Team, I know you were also one of my other.
No, just
I thought they were going in order. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So also you were also in my previous episode as well too, and you kind of already touched upon what I'm about to ask you, but just to kind of share, you were mostly the troublemaker of the family. You kind of got a lot of trouble, and you kind of went. Not gonna lie to you, some of us thought you were gonna go down the wrong path, my brother, but you. By the grace of God, you came out in a good place. Yeah. But kind of share, but like, how was that like to grow up in a family of 10 where technically we're all super good, and then you were kind of like the odd sheep of the family, in a sense.
That's a good difference.
The black sheep of the family. Talk about how that was like.
Man. Actually, I mean, it was just hard. Every day, it's like if something was like to happen, like for example, if I would ever do something like or someone was questioned, I would always be the one who was first accused, and most of the time I think it was. So growing up and like as I was growing up, it was always hard to like get people to trust me and do all that stuff. So it was like it was harder, you know, and I just never really, because of how much trouble I was causing, like I never really got to hang out or want to be, or people didn't really want me to be around as much. But I mean, I wouldn't change anything that happened when I was younger, only because that led me to be who I am now. It's like all the advice I got from you guys when I was younger. Well, at the moment, I didn't appreciate it as much, but looking back, obviously, I do. I appreciate all the advice. Like going to different people, like I'll go to Moses sometimes, and he'll give me a different, like some different advices than like B or John or like Mom or somebody else would give me. So I just had so many different personalities to go to and get different feedbacks that it was so cool, you know? So yeah, I appreciate like growing up with such a huge family because you had so many people to talk to.
Yeah. Okay, I feel you. Moses, can you please share what you feel like is kind of a negative aspect of growing up with so many siblings?
I mean, honestly, it's beautiful growing up with a big family, but at the same time, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because I speak for me, maybe and John. When you're one of the oldest brother, you know, you don't wanna. How can I go if I'm going to struggle moment? How can I go to my little brother? Yeah. Hey, can you help me do this? You know, I'm going through this. You always want to feel like you're the one who's supposed to provide. You know, you're the one who's supposed to give them advice. So I kind of struggle with that a lot in the beginning because I used to go through a lot, but I didn't want to tell my younger brother or my older brother because I didn't want it, like my feelings or how I was feeling at that moment affect them. Like I don't want them to feel like if I'm feeling this, I should be like this, you know, because like for example, like I never see John get in trouble. I never see none of you guys get in trouble. So I was trying to leave into that. Like I don't want to be the one to show. Like when I see John and like, you know, never get in trouble, I don't want to be the first one. The kids could be like, oh, you see the Moses, you know? Like sometimes you have to almost like be somebody else. You know, so it was really, really hard because like just like I think I was in one of the other episodes.
Yeah, so I was going to say that.
Yeah, because I used to struggle like with myself, the way I was like I looked. You know, I used to even think about taking my own life, but I didn't have that person I could go to and talk to, you know. And because I didn't want that to affect anybody. And sometimes because our culture, when you tell somebody, they just go like, you know, well, that's evil talking to you, that's this, instead of really understanding how you feeling at that moment. Yeah. So it was a blessing because it's just like, you guys were there kind of like to keep my mind occupied to what I was feeling, you know. But at the same time, it was really, really, really hard because I have to learn to deal with myself. I have to learn how to overcome that. But I was blessed enough to have other people who helped me through what I was going through. But it was really hard because you put a different face than, you know, like when you feeling sad at that moment, but you see your brother or your mom, and plus my mom, she was like, you know, single mom. It was hard just to go to her like, hey, mom, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So it was hard, but just like how John said, you know, God always provides something else. We were blessed to have the other American parent, which is Brother Tony and Mama D. You know, I used to go to them and talk to them a lot. They helped me through. But it was a blessing having all of you guys. Just sometimes like when I used to, you know, you guys used to come ask me for advice. I used to feel good, so like I'm trying to help somebody. Yeah. Even when I was still seeking for help myself. Yeah. Just, man, it's a blessing, man. And just to see how we have become the men we are today.
Well, definitely.
And women.
We're definitely going to touch upon like the positive things about like growing up with 10 siblings because there's a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Just something I want to say, just crazy because I never even knew anything about that. And like the one person I got the best advice from, like I could say, was Moses, because it was like I never felt judged. You know, I felt like So at the same time, you were feeling one way, but your advice was helping me in other ways. Because if it wasn't for Moses at the time, like I think I would have just probably stayed in my own way, you know, like doing the same things I was doing. But hearing somebody say like, okay, like you can get over this like phase in your life, you can like get through it. It's just like you just got to keep pushing through. Like it helped me and where I was at, and I'm pretty sure. We tell them that all the time. Like you've helped so much of, like so many of us, that like it kind of like is sad hearing that come from you, you know. So
thanks for sharing that. That's really nice. And the episode that you saw about that he was in, it was actually them to my sister, my older brother. And it's also called Suicidal Thoughts. You guys should definitely go check that episode out as well too. But to continue, B. Let's say you were an interesting man. And also you were also again on another episode, which is called
like
Anger. It's called Anger, Adventures, and How to Overcome It. And so you kind of shared a little bit about your story, but let's say you were in the camp, you were in between age, and so you had to learn how to take care of yourself. You come to the state. John is trying to be like the dad, but you were very hard-headed. He was very hard-headed. And you kind of, and so you guys kind of know about teaching. So share about like what you think are. I feel like you're going to say there's a lot of negative because you're almost the favorite child. Not to say. I know you're by yourself because you are the favorite child. But kind of share the negative parts of growing up with sensitive.
I mean, I guess for me personally, the negative thing is I felt like I couldn't do anything. I think when we first came, John was like the father figure in a way, so he would discipline us. So we kind of looked at him as the father figure. And then Moses was almost like the first son in a way. So like he became more like the person that you went to for advice and all that stuff. Not to say anything like, we couldn't get advice from John, but I think just like a sibling, like if our dad was there, you know, like John had been the firstborn the firstborn son that we can go to for advice. But I think the roles like got mixed. So John became like the dad. So your parents, the person that tell you you have to be at home at a certain time, you have to do this, you have to do that. So you don't go to them and be like, oh, I like this girl or I like this. No, you usually don't do that with your parents because they're like the ones saying, no, you need to save everything for marriage or any of that kind of stuff. So Moses became the person that we, like most of us went to, and was like, most of the person. So if we ever needed advice, we went to Moses because he was like the brother, and like I think Amy was more of the mom. I felt like for me, I didn't really have like a role, if that makes sense. So my role was, so I think for me, the hardest thing was like sometimes you can almost feel like. I mean, I think a lot of people just been like, your issues are not that important because it's like, man, mom was a single mom. She was taking care of everyone. So it almost like you felt like you had to be strong no matter what. Yeah. So like for me, I just became, I was like, I'm not going to be the father figure because I'm too young. I'm also not going to be the person they go to advice for because they have Moses. Because I'm also, I was probably the crazier one in a sense, just more healthy than Tina. But I think, so for me, I just felt like, I just had to take care of myself to where like knowing how to worry about myself. But I think naturally in life you have to depend on other people. Because if I'm just in my own head saying I'm just gonna take care of myself and I'm just gonna do my own thing, that really doesn't help me. Because if I'm not getting a different advice, if I'm not getting different stuff. But I think for me I just feel like I'm really almost like there's nothing I have to give. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. Because I'm like, we can see what his skill is. Even though at the end people can think, that's because he became a dad, so like a lot of his talent, it was different. But like we can see Moses' skill, he was really good in it. We can see Amy's skill because she was like the mom, because my mom was like doing 100 other million things. So Amy was like the mom. So I felt like Nelly wasn't there, so I was the next oldest person, and I was like, I felt like there's nothing there for me to like kind of fit in. So I think for me, the issue with like, I think having a big family is like you can almost get lost.
Yeah.
Like you can get lost if you're like, and I'm saying this, and I have like a huge personality. So I'm not like an introvert. It's not like I have a small personality. I know. So it's like, so I'm not saying, because a lot of people think, you're very outgoing. You're very like, how can you feel lost? I feel like you did most of the talking, which I did, but I think in a sense of like, when I did a lot of the talking, I probably was trying to be more like either John, more like Moses, or more like Amy in a sense, like trying to take care of it instead of being myself. So I think when you have a big family, you can sometimes lose who you are and sense of like the things you like and what you like to do and all that kind of stuff. So I think for me, like one of the biggest issues, like now that we're older, it's like, man, I love how everyone is individually. Like we all like are so similar, but are all so different at the same time. I think when I was younger, it was more like, I just was like, I wanted to be like one of the older siblings that you can either come to for advice, or I could be the father figure where I give you rules. I tried to kind of eventually play a lot of the same roles where I was trying to do some of the things John did, or trying to do some of the things Moses did, or trying to do some, Amy cooked and was nice. So no, a lot of the things Amy did, I didn't do. But like, I think I was just trying to do a lot of the things they did, which made me like not actually offer what like I think God made me to be like. My unique talents that God gave me, at that point I wasn't using because I was too busy trying to like fit in with like the older sibling. Yeah. So I think for me, like you can just lose yourself in a big family. One, either trying to fit in with the rest of the crowd. So if you're a quiet person, you're like, everybody has so much energy, I have to match the energy. When it's okay to not be that. But I also think if you're a loud person, trying to be like, okay, now I have to be like I have to keep up that level and also be very strong for the rest of the people so they see me as like, oh, this is what he kind of offers. So I think that for me was like, I just kind of think, one, I didn't think too positively of myself because I felt like I had nothing to offer. So I was like, well, I'm just one of the people, like, and they have to take care of it, and I hated that. And I think one of the biggest things for me was, even in the concentration camp, I hated knowing that someone had to take care of me. Mm-hmm. So part of what I tried to do was like, how can I just take care of myself to where like John doesn't have to worry about me, which he ended up having to worry about me then more because I was very stubborn. Or like Moses not having to feel like he has to take care of me, or Amy doesn't have to feel, or mom doesn't have to feel like that. So, and to that as a young kid, like it's like as a 8, 9-year-old, like you can't really take care of yourself in a healthiest way. So I think for me, like it just honestly just goes back to I felt like I just lost. You can lose yourself when you have a big family sometimes. So.
John, now you, man. I think you would have touched the point like what B just touched a lot upon it. But like you can't take that fatherly role. But how was life for you growing up with 10 siblings, even though technically it's / your own kids? Like Tina just said, what was that like, man?
Man,
the negative parts of it, at least.
Let me say this. Actually, to me, it was different from all of you guys. Because, because when my dad passed, the road that I was able to take, to be blessed with. I say it was a blessing. Either way, let me say this: it sucks to be the oldest brother. Growing with the 10 siblings, it sucks to be the oldest. Because. Let me go back a little bit. If I had my dad, probably I would enjoy it even more. Yeah. But when my dad was gone so at an early age, it was so hard for me. I felt like I didn't do anything fun for me. Yeah. And literally I can't recall anything I did fun because I was constantly like in my mind, constantly like thinking about, all of you guys. It's because especially like this country that we're going in, there's so many distractions, things that can, mislead, you guys to trouble, but I didn't have fun at all. I play sports, and I say I was okay, but it's just like, you feel like how your teammate, afterward they say, "Oh, we're gonna club, we're gonna party. I'm going home." Yeah. I'm going home.
I got 10 kids.
Part of it, I wanted to be a role model to a point where that you guys don't have to look at for me. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do, and it's hard to do something and tell the same person, don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
So I stayed away from anything that you guys can't have excuse on me. You know, oh, you do that. You know, oh, John, you didn't bring girls at home, so why you telling us not to do things like that? So I stay away from anything that I could possibly, have fun too, So it was a hard going with you guys, but at the same time I enjoy it. I enjoy the responsibility, watching you guys grow. But let me give anybody advice, in this regard. To me, what was so much negative, it was so hard. It hit me so hard is when knowing that you did everything that you could for your family, your siblings, to be protected and to be, whether I was trying to lead you guys to not get in trouble, or punish you guys, curfew, all of that.
Yeah.
It's not fun, but the outcome of it, at the same time, I'm losing you guys as siblings. Because I did that so that you guys maybe will come to me for advice, so at least I can give you what I have, but there was a gap, a huge gap between me and you guys, for you guys to come to me for advice. You guys went to Moses. I wanted that. Everything I was working so at least I can give you guys what I have, at least to provide to help you guys, to lead you guys to the right way. So not only that, I did have fun, my youth, my young adults, young days, but I stayed the course of just keeping you guys. And the funny thing is, mom, he was like, go tell John. He's just like all the responsibility was like, go tell John.
Yeah.
Anything that you guys ask mom, go tell John. So at the same time, if you put me in a position, sometimes I'll go back to say, why can't you tell them? It's almost like putting in a bad position. If I say, yes, do this, then guess what? What did you tell him? That's mom. That's how I'm come out. Why did you do this? Why did you tell him to do this? Now he's in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So either or, I'll be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing I can say, to people who are watching this podcast is this: is to do whatever it takes, to protect your family, but at the same time, be open, be mindful of your siblings, and don't lose them. I felt like I lose you guys, at the same time when I'm trying to save you guys, because it took me a long time to realize, I need to chill now. I have to come down. It takes
2019 was your year.
take off a foot on the gas, literally, so that way, hoping that, that you guys can be maybe open to me and realize what I was doing was not saving you guys, but at least it was losing, because I remember one time mom told me, he said, and that was so hurtful to me, knowing like you sacrifice everything, for the siblings, but he said, do you know why the siblings don't come to you to it's such and such, that's why they go to Moses. I was like, damn. That's like, it hit so hard, like literally, like she just slapped in my face. I was like, I think I was mad at my mom, and me and my mom, I don't know, maybe because we share that kind of responsibility, we collide so much. I collide with my mom, God forgive me for at some point that I was disrespecting my mom, but it's just like the responsibility we shared was just right there.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be in that position, but she put me in a position, or God put me in that position for being the first, so, but anyway, the negative part, it was just that, you try to save some people, but at the same time you lose them. So to people who's watching, just be mindful to try, the best. I mean, don't defeat the purpose of saving somebody at the same time losing. You can still save somebody. I wish I wasn't so harsh, at the same time. But I didn't spank you guys so much.
Let's not go into it.
But let me make this comment. I think the spanking got you guys where you're at. You guys good.
I was always an angel. I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't spank Jay.
I was an angel.
But
I did.
really,
She landed off the airplane.
but let me say this: so I really, really enjoy, the man that you guys are trying to be. Tim was my most, worst. I worry about Tim.
You made it, brother.
But
You cried.
But I'm really proud of the team, to be honest with you, because he's truly the one.
We're gonna get to the good parts of it.
Yeah. The negatives.
Well, you can go ahead and talk about the negatives too.
We'll get to that. You can say that when you get to the positive.
Yeah. And another negative things, you guys hear me with the words that, all this, all this, I mean, really, it's a negative part from, about you guys. But it certainly was a burn for me, to be able to be in this kind of shoes. All along, it was negative. There was time that I wanted to do certain things, I couldn't do it. Sometimes want to give up, but I thank God who strengthened me to overcome all that and be who I am.
All right, my dog Pookie. Pookie. So you're for the longest time again, it's like when people watch that episode between you and your mom.
Yeah.
I'd say that you were almost like a brother to me until I got older and found out that you're really my nephew. I couldn't really comprehend what a nephew and a brother was. You were always with us, so I assumed you were my brother. But talk a little bit about you are a nephew, but you are kind of stuck in a family of 10 people, so you're kind of like the 11th person. But Nangabit is not here right now, so you're taking the 10th child.
Yeah.
Speak about what the negative aspect of growing up with 10 siblings are for your 10 uncles and auntie. Or 7 uncles and 3 aunties. Or 1 auntie technically.
Yes.
Oh, I mean 2 aunties. That's your mother. I'm sorry. I'm still confused.
He's so confused.
So you talk about it.
Okay, well, growing up with all these people here, it's kind of like what B said. You kind of with all those people in the house, you kind of get lost on who you are. It's also growing up with that many people, you don't want to. You have a lot of more people not to let down, if that makes sense. You're the things you do, you feel okay, if I do this, then it's something bad, and then they're gonna come judge me, so you don't talk about it because you're scared of them looking down on you. So you're kind of constantly thinking of them, and you just don't want to let them down. So you're scared to make mistakes, but I feel in this environment, making a mistake is really, really bad. And in this family, you're not taught to learn from your mistakes. You're kind of taught not to have them. So it's so I would say that was pretty much a bad thing about growing up with this huge family, because you're always thinking about, you got 10 people, you're trying not to disappoint, and it kind of gets to you. It's kind of nerve-wracking.
Go ahead.
I was thinking of another negative as people were talking.
Wow.
I think one of the other negative is when you have 9 other siblings, is you get compared every single
Yeah.
time. No matter what you do, no matter how good you are, you're always for the longest time, the way I dress, it's oh, why don't you dress nice like John to church? Why don't you sing in the choir? Why don't you constantly, regardless of what you did, I could get the best grade in school, but there was something someone else I was compared to because someone cleaned better than I did. I was not that good at chores. I learned. But so I think for me, like I think that's why I also was saying you lose a little bit of yourself because you constantly are being compared to everyone to where you're like, I'm not any of them. You know, for the longest time it took me to that because like every time I went to church, every time I went anywhere, everyone that knew like the older siblings would always say, why don't you do this? Why don't you speak the language like John or Moses or Amy? Why don't you? So I think being compared all the time, to like in school, literally anything that we did, we got compared to each other.
Or
So like,
other people.
yeah, or other African families. So I think for me, like the biggest thing as a huge family was like, instead of someone saying, "Oh, B, you're very unique in your own way," like there's some tuning up that needs to happen, but like you're great just the way you are. It was more like, B, why don't you be more like John? Or B, why don't you be more like Moses? Or B, why don't you be more like Amy? And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, I know I'm not all of them, but the more it happens, the more I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to be more like them. When it's like, no, like John was blessed with certain gifts and certain weaknesses. Moses was blessed with certain gifts and certain weaknesses. Amy was blessed with certain strengths and certain weaknesses. And I was blessed with certain strengths and certain weaknesses. So I shouldn't be trying to be more like Amy. I should be trying to like see out my weaknesses and try to improve it. So I think sometimes in a big family, like Luke said, we forget to like work on like the mistakes, like helping kids learn how to do better mistakes. We compare them to each other because when Luke's weaknesses are like you like already compare him with someone that those might be their strength. So now Luke feels like I have to be perfect in order to be like, you know, because then I could be like making mistakes and you're like, you need to be more like Seth, but those might be, like I said, Seth's strength and not his weaknesses. So I think we kind of forget like, hey, let's not just look at the good things that they do. Like, what about the bad things? How can I help Luke in times that he's having a hard time or in his weaknesses? Like, how can I actually help him? Instead of saying, Luke, you need to be more like G, or you need to be more like Team, or Moses or someone. So I think it gets compared all the time. So,
yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
That was good.
No, hey, Pookie, you actually made some very valid
bad things.
I appreciate. Hey, let's let G and me talk.
Let me add.
Okay, another negative real quick.
Another negative. At least for me. Me. Like I said, me using a lot of energy on you guys. You know, I did not focus on myself as I should have. You know, I think I was a little bit like trying to be better, like, you know. I think I spent so much time doing that than just focusing on myself, and which is, you know, big family is good, but you know, being in that position, you also kind of have like look say you know, not only trying to do good things for, you know, all the 10 people, but at the same time you find out that, you know, you're gonna be judged by all the 10 people. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, like energy for 10 people then versus just energy on one person, it's a huge difference. Yeah. So I think so.
Yeah. So many good points. Okay, look what you did, my guy. Hey, don't worry, didn't forget about you. Hey, one, the negatives of growing up with the 10. Not only that, not only growing up with 9 siblings, but also growing up with the twin. What are the difficulties? What are the negatives and positives? Dre, you can also answer that too, because I know you. But go ahead, G.
I want to first off saying, like, since we're the babies of the like family, we were so spoiled as a kid.
That is a
we had like no responsibilities, no for real. So like no. So like I know like we're talking about negatives, but like no, honestly, we had no rules, like, but we would just like we like got everything we wanted and everything, but like
growing up, those motorcycles you got and you crashed.
Yo, we got like so many things, but like I think a negative in our family, I mean, growing up with so many people is that you try to stand out so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So many people you have to like, even like growing up, like even with basketball and stuff. I want to say something I never said. I don't even like basketball like that, you know? I really don't. Like, I mean, like I like playing it and it's cool and stuff, but it was more like a bonding thing. Like, they woke up at 6 and stuff because they had dreams of going like places in basketball. I knew high school was it for me. I didn't even really like playing in the games. I was so nervous. And they like always try to put like certain mentalities, like, oh, you gotta be a dog when you play. I pass the ball like 80 times, yo. I don't like the spotlight like that. So like, but I mean like even like in the family, so like I would try to get like the best grade, so like mom could be like, oh look, he's smart, or like blah blah. Like I remember just growing up, like I used to hide stuff just so I could find him. No, seriously, like I mean like I used to hide him. Oh man, everybody's like, oh look, I found it, and then everybody looks at me, yo. So like I just wanted to stand out so much, and even with my personality, man, like there's so many different things. I just wanted to stand out, so I try to make people laugh.
I didn't even know that.
So like stuff like that. So like
wait. You used to have stuff.
let me tell you the story. So like with the American family and stuff like that. No, so like
You got so much
she had kids and stuff like that, and like. When they were leaving, somehow something ended up missing, right? So everybody's in the panic, like, oh, we're late. I'm just sitting back chilling. All right. So then I go off looking, oh, look, I found it. And
No, she says, I'll give you $10 for it.
No, sometimes she said it, but I didn't even like the money. I was just a kid. I just like, oh, look, I found it. And everyone's like, oh, look at you. And I got all the attention. And like, so that was really cool, like standing out. And so many people, so when people so for people to like notice you in like a big crowd, that was special to me, yeah. So like, I just felt like growing up with the big people.
See, we need to pray for you.
But I mean, like, but also I learned that there's negatives to that too, because like I remember like growing up, like. Alright, so I have had history too. So like one time I stole from Albertsons, and that was negative attention.
Take the store.
You did what?
I stole from Albertsons. Remember when I stole the little gummy bears? Yeah. But it wasn't even technically on my record. I wasn't drugged or anything. But like that was negative attention, and I never had that as a kid. So like Dad, like, okay, so that's not the type of attention I want. So then I just stick to what I was good at. So I just got good grades. I mean, like, so that's like honestly like the negatives of like being in the family. But also like a hard part to that is like trying to be like a funny person, stuff like that. People don't really think you got problems like that. And like I like dealt with little insecurities and stuff like that, but it wasn't nothing too major. But yeah, so like that's like
trying to
just stand out.
Oh, and a twin. I've always been the better twin. No, seriously, like I mean, not even to dog money, but like I got a lot of attention because I was really smart. I was like smart, and then like I played sports, so I was okay, like always grouped in with like the sports people in the family playing basketball, and like he didn't really make the team sometimes. So, like, I never made the team. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice. No, so like I mean, like between the two, like I always got most of the attention, so like. It wasn't. I really have no bad things about being a twin. I don't. I really don't. Oh well, the one big thing that like sucks about being a twin is trying to convince him that he's like just because he's 3 minutes or 7 minutes that he's older than me, which I really don't take into consideration. I mean, I got all the height, which is better. Yeah, I mean, but I guess other than that, he just keeps on bullying me because he thinks he's like older than me, which he technically is. But I don't care, like. But also, like to that, can I say something to that? Like, I got bullied by them, right? So I wanted to feel like kind of not powerful, but like I wanted like, oh, there's someone beneath me, you know, and like age wise. So I was a little aggressive with them, but that was only hurt people. So I hurt you for a reason. I had no one to hurt. No, exactly, but I mean that's what.
No, he did.
I can't mess with that. I was a good shy kid.
Alright, so that's about the growing up with twin. Okay, sis, don't worry, I did not forget about that.
How can we forget about that?
I can never forget about this.
It's the best for last.
Yes. Hey, thank you for being so patient. There's a bunch of us, man. That's a negative too. Like you gotta wait to get. But hey, can you talk about a little bit of the negative side of being the oldest? In a sense, kind of, because John takes the father role, but you're still the oldest child. Like
The first one is negative side. You have to share everything. That's
what you have to share.
Everything. If you have one piece of candy, if everybody asks, you're gonna have to share.
Yeah, got it.
Even though you don't want it to. But another thing is you have to play like smart. Even though you're not that smart, because you try to be an example, like everybody's saying. When you make like people will look after you, you know, especially like being older sister. If any of you will be bad, they will say, "Yeah, your sister opened the door," you know. You just are just your sister, you know. So they will always find you for your siblings' mistakes, especially if you have a 10. That's 10 mistakes right there. You know, they're like, how do you know who's John's sister is Amy? She did this and this and this. And plus you try to impress everybody, which you can never do. You know, and then also you have to pay more attention. Like I can feel like, especially Mom and John.
Yeah.
I think I was cool. I didn't get no many people to come
she wasn't
to
cool.
seek
We worked
advice.
together for 3 years.
I wouldn't say much. Besides being in the kitchen most of the time.
Hey, which we need.
I know, which you were great
That's
at.
because
Which I know be appreciated
Yeah,
because
that's
of
a
being
positive.
with the
You should
kitchen.
say
Ooh. Yeah. Mostly I feel that for John. John had to play something bigger than who he was.
Yeah.
You know, and really,
I stood strong, man.
even I remember B saying one time he's like, wait for John's kids. John's kids will pay the price. All the spanking, all the whooping, you know. And then when Jael was born, he was like, dang, John is lucky he got a cute one.
Yeah.
You know? I can't spank her because I love her so much. But it's like, imagine John had to whoop all of you beside me.
A couple times.
Even though John was like playing like a father, I don't think what John did, I could do it. Thank God I wasn't a boy. Because everybody wished to become a boy.
in our culture.
Because you get to tell, in our culture. But at that time, I was like, thank God I'm a girl. Because John really, John never have life. I can say John didn't have life. Because that's the negative side.
Hot job, man.
And you know, but now he can see the result and be happy about it. But he had to play like a father. Imagine when you play like a father, when you're not a father, you know. It's tough. You know? So that's the negative side. I will talk more about the positive side because
You want to talk about
I'm friends to make us stereo.